Hello, everybody. Is everyone staying warm this week, this month, this year so far? I hope so. Welcome to the Innovate State Speaker Series hosted by the Burgess Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. My name is Lori Fisher. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement for the Burgess Institute. And tonight we have about a 45-minute fireside chat with Brittane Rowe, co-founder of Awkward Games, as seen on Shark Tank, and she's going to talk more about her experience on Shark Tank. And this is moderated by Isha, who is the Vice President of Women in Entrepreneurship here at MSU. And then we're going to follow that fireside chat with about 15 minutes of Q&A. So get your questions ready in your brain to start asking at the end of the night. All right, so I hope you find, I know you're going to find value in tonight's conversation, and I just want to give you a couple reminders. Next Saturday on February 7th, we're going to have a student-made pop-up with 15 to 19 creator companies there. So that's going to be starting at about 5 p.m. in the multipurpose room just across the way, across from Panera on that side. So please come to that and see what our creators are making. And you can buy cool things like these earrings here from Jillian and macarons from Yuktha and many, many more. Okay, then on February 10th, Jordan Polk, CEO and founder of Missing in Action, is going to be our next Innovate State speaker right in this room, 6 o'clock. And then, on February 19th, the Startup Career Fair hosted by the Burgess Institute is going to be taking place right in this room as well from 2 to 4. This is a great opportunity for you to meet small business and startups and founders from across the state of Michigan. They're going to be looking for interns and employees. So see what startup employment is like and meet these founders on the 19th. Anyway, I want to make sure that you give a big round of applause to welcome Brittane and Isha to the stage. Come on up.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So, kind of getting started, Brittane, what did you study at Michigan State, and how did that experience kind of shape who you are today?
Well, thanks for having me, Isha. Thanks for having me, all of you. So excited to be here. I am an MSU alum from 2011, and I studied theater. I have one of my professors here from the theater department. Hi, Anne. Good to see you. I'm so excited to be back. It's been years since I've been back, so this is really great.
Yeah. So a lot of students feel pressure to follow that traditional career path. How did you get comfortable choosing that creative route when that future wasn't really guaranteed?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was very lucky to have parents who really were okay with me and my siblings kind of being dreamers, I would say. They always allowed us to experiment, to try things, to be creative in whatever that looked like. And of course, to follow our dreams, which I know a lot of people probably don't have that privilege, but I would definitely encourage you to, whatever that looks like, to kind of follow something of your dreams, even if that's a hobby, or if that's like a side hustle, or if that is a business that you're building over time. It just creates a lot of passion. And I feel like being able to study theater, you know, there were so many people who were like, you need to have a plan B, C, D, E, F, and G. And I was like, I'm going to kind of focus here for a bit, and we'll see what life, you know, brings for me. And it shifted, and I started a business many years later. But I am so glad that I had that theater background to really give me the skill sets of being on stage, of being comfortable in front of folks like you all today. And it has given me a lot.
Yeah. So Hella Awkward obviously was born during the pandemic. Can you walk us through that moment when you realized this was more than just an idea and something you could turn into a real business?
Absolutely. So, of course, my background is in theater. I moved to New York right after I finished school and basically went gung-ho into theater, worked off-Broadway and worked in a theater company downtown Manhattan for a few years. During basically 2019 is when I was just fully burnt out. I was so sick of auditioning, sick of the grind, and was happy to have the break of COVID to really just take a moment to rethink what I was wanting my life to look like. So organically what happened is many conversations with my two co-founders, who are my brother and sister-in-law. We were talking about anything and everything. Childhood, relationships, life, sex, whatever. All of it was on the table. And those conversations, basically, we would share with our friends and family. So we would make a big Google Doc and we would send them out to our folks and say, hey, this is helping us. If you want to try it out, ask these questions with your friends. And they did, and they liked it, and they kept asking for more questions, and that turned into what is now Hella Awkward, our flagship game, which is a conversation card game to help you connect. So it ended up being 140 different questions with sex, dating, relationships, and real talk broken down into those 4 categories. And essentially, it just was a moment during COVID where I thought, listen, I've got nothing to lose, and I might as well try to figure out how to make this a thing because A, I had a lot of time, B, I was sick of my previous grind and hustle, and I wanted to just experiment and see what this could look like and what it could be for my future. And I'm so glad I took that chance because here I am, 5 years later or so in business, and it's been so rewarding and so incredible to be able to build something that was a thought in my head, and now it's real. It lives on shelves, it lives in people's homes, and it's amazing to see the feedback from folks who have been playing and enjoying and laughing and making, new relationships and finding new friends and using it on their dates. It's been really amazing to hear how it has impacted, real folks. So there was definitely a long moment within COVID of just being like, I have no other choice but to figure it out. And so I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So kind of going through that early on, how did you know what to focus on your energy on and kind of what to say no to as a founder?
Well, early on, I think that was a mistake I made, is wanting to do so many things at the beginning. I am a type A eldest daughter Capricorn girly who wanted to have everything be perfect and wanted to be able to compete with all the top, game companies. And that's just not realistic, and I know that now, obviously. But at the time, I'm like, okay, let me look at what, Hasbro is doing. Let me look at what Disney is doing. And I'm trying to replicate their formulas. And that just was not the right way to go. So I think over the years, I have learned to really pare that down to really niche down who my customer is and what we do, what is special for us, and not trying to do too many things at once, which was a definite, no. I'm sure y'all know.
Yeah. What was kind of that hardest part of turning Hella Awkward from an idea into more of a physical product that people could buy?
Probably, during COVID is when we started, and a big hurdle was, we were decided to manufacture in China as we did our research and found that so many companies in paper manufacture in China. And during COVID, if you remember, in China, they were doing these massive shutdowns. If they had one positive case, then the entire region would close down. And so we were trying to find factories that could produce our product, and it was impossible to figure it out and find a timeline that worked. We started working on our company in June, July of 2020. We thought we were going to be able to launch, in time for the holidays. That did not happen because of these COVID shutdowns. So it was really challenging to figure out how to communicate with our customers, how to even create a timeline that we could really launch within, and what was going to be our strategy to actually enter into the market. So that was really hard. Now it's gotten so much easier over the years. We found the right partners, et cetera. I will say this previous year was challenging just because of the tariffs and all of those policies changing. So we've had to kind of relook at different countries in which we could, do our manufacturing in.
Yeah, I know COVID definitely had a big impact on a lot of other things.
For sure.
But going kind of into your like leadership team too, I know you mentioned you worked with your brother and your sister-in-law. How's that experience been and going so far?
It's fun. It's a good time. You know, working with family, it can be challenging, of course, because the lines are so blurred. You know, we obviously spend so much time together, and I think that's the biggest part of trying to like have, okay, this is work time. This is when we have a meeting. All right, now it's family time. Now we're having dinner and we're just having like a celebration or just hanging out. And so making sure that those lines don't get blurred, that's probably the biggest challenge in trying to make sure that that happens. But overall, like the best thing is that each of us has like such amazing specific skills. So we don't blur in terms of our skills. And I think if you're working with any co-founder, family or not, that's the biggest key, is make sure you are doing this and they are doing that. And those things, you know, they obviously help lift each other up, but they're not crossing paths, because you don't want to have someone stepping on your toes. You don't want to have, you know, distrust. You want to make sure that the lines are like, they're there. You have your role, you know what your role is. You trust me to do this role, right? Like that's the biggest key. And that's been really, really amazing with my co-founders. And I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. Maybe what's something you didn't expect about being an entrepreneur?
All of it. I mean, all of this. You know, I come from the theater background, so, you know, I was not expecting to start a business at all. So all of this has been a big learning for me. I think, you know, obviously building something is so incredible to watch, something that you build and make yourself be into the world. So I think that's probably just an unexpected moment of like, wow, there are real people who are actually using this and enjoying this. So that's probably like a, wow, this is cool. You know, that's a cool moment. And just, I think giving back, like coming back and like helping other people. You know, there were so many times where I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I need help. And so now I try to always give back and just provide myself as a resource to say, okay, let's think through this. All right, this has worked for me. All right, this is where I messed up. Okay, here you can take this learning or not, you know? And so I think it's been nice to see, you know, my own personal development, my own personal confidence growing as I've, you know, been in business for a few years now. So it's a cool experience, you know, building something and having those moments where you get to then take what you learned and help the next people around you continue to grow.
Yeah, no, kind of stepping into an industry that you were a little bit maybe unfamiliar with. How did, and obviously your network in business especially is something that's very important. How did you kind of grow your connections and your network throughout?
Yeah, that's the key to life. Like, y'all know the Jay-Z line. Like, please build your network. That is the key. That is how so many opportunities have come my way. I started off in like different organizations and groups, accelerator programs. That was basically what I first did when we first launched, is look up every single company and look up, do they have a grant? Do they have a accelerator program that I can be a part of? And there's so many organizations that are doing this. That was a huge learning for me, because I got to obviously be in community with other founders who are also building and are in the trenches and are doing the things that we're doing. And then I got to learn a lot from them and continue to like utilize their network and their skills as well. And these are big companies, you know, like Shopify and TikTok. Like I've been in all these really incredible organizations and a part of these accelerators. So that was major. Great learning, great network building. And you just never know. Like you just keep up with folks that you meet. You never know who's going to be the one to help you connect to someone else who's going to open a major, major door for you. So keep up with these folks. I don't know if all of you know each other in this room, but you, by the end of your time here at State, you should all know each other and you should be keeping up with each other. You should all be on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on all the socials, you know, and just make sure you're following along with each other's career and lives, because you just never know who in this room is going to open a door for you that can be life-changing.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's something that Broad really emphasizes, is expanding that network. But if you could go back and give your MSU self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh man, some advice. I think just like being a bit bolder in life. I think I've always been kind of timid, I would say, in terms of like asking for things, like asking people for help. And I think I wish I was a bit bolder in that sense of just, I see so many folks who are like, hey, can you connect me with so-and-so that you know? And I would be so scared to do something like that. I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to ask. I don't know. Is this weird? Is this going to be uncomfortable for them or whatever? So I think just being bolder, being more willing to ask for the help that I need, and being aware of the things that I need help with. I think that's a big key as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one way you probably put yourself out of your comfort zone is Shark Tank. So if you guys didn't know, Brittane was featured on Shark Tank. Could you kind of talk about that experience and what it was like?
A wild time. I don't know if anyone's seen the episode. I was on last season, season 16, which premiered last March. And it was a thrilling experience. I mean, I applied online via... Okay, let me rewind. So one of the organizations that I'm a part of, because you should all try to get involved with as many organizations as you can, they host, different workshops, webinars, etc. One of the workshops was with a junior casting person from Shark Tank who basically just gave, the behind the scenes of how to pitch and how to apply and what is needed in order to be a part of the show. So as he's giving this presentation, I'm looking up his LinkedIn. I'm reaching out to him immediately. Just like, hey, would love to apply. I think it'd be great. Thanks for your chat today. He then said, great, thanks for reaching out. You should apply. Let me know when you do, and I will kind of lift your name up to the top of the pile, essentially. So I applied online. This was in January. By February, I had a call with senior casting. That call was like a 10-minute conversation that was basically just tell me about you, tell me about your business. I did that. And I went on to the next level, which is essentially the long form application in the video where you're giving, your basic pitch, right? That you kind of see on the show, your soft version of that pitch. And then I moved on to the next level of now you have a producer team and they're helping you develop your pitch for the show. And that's probably a 3 to 4 month process of refining the pitch, building out what your set's going to look like, thinking about, how you're going to support yourself post-show if you make it, if you air on the episode, what that's going to look like. And I was very lucky and my episode got aired. A lot of people get cut. I had friends who were filming in my season. Their business got cut. Sometimes you just never know why. Sometimes it's just the casting decides, your business just doesn't fit, our season. Sometimes it's just not that interesting for them. Maybe you work in a different season or whatever. But I was very lucky that I actually got aired, and I was offered 3 offers, and then I took a deal on the show. Once the show aired, our sales went crazy, as you can imagine, and on all of our channels. Amazon was insane. We're also in Target and Walmart, and everything did really, really well. So that was super exciting to see, and thankfully we were ready, which just meant like having the inventory and having the logistics ready to go for that. And what happened after the show, however, is we decided not to take the deal. So what you probably hear is sometimes people take the deal, they close their deal, sometimes they don't. We essentially started going through the early process of diligence and essentially just realized this wasn't going to be a good fit. What we really wanted was a partner who was going to really like show up and help open the doors, and we would have access to their network. And that didn't really happen, unfortunately. So we decided we should pass, because ultimately money is money. Of course, we all want the money, we need the money, but it just didn't feel like the right fit for us in the end. And so we said our goodbyes, and that was that. But we, of course, a month after Shark Tank aired, I was on The View. We've re-aired our episode this past summer. We're doing a partnership with them next month where we're going to re-air 3 episodes in partnership with Black History Month and doing a live interactive shopping. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. And, it's once you do Shark Tank, you're now in the Shark Tank family. Like you kind of have this like trust built that's really exciting. And it's obviously helped a lot just for our company and having just different opportunities that have aligned and come because of it. Yeah, but it was great. It was fun. Has anyone seen it? Okay, a few people in the back. Okay. All right, y'all gotta watch. Tune in, let me know what you think.
I know being on live television is definitely nerve-wracking. Everything. What did that kind of teach you about confidence? I know obviously you've been in theater in the past before and you've had that background, but did that change or anything after Shark Tank?
No, actually. I think what it taught me is really just to like lean into myself. Like really, that was the key is for my company, I'm the face of our business. You know, I'm a co-founder, but I kind of lead the company on the day-to-day, and I do a lot of our, you know, just our face presenting, front presenting things like this. And it just was like, I have to be authentic. I have to be myself. And so I came in like that for the tank. And I was smiling and laughing and making jokes. And I was teasing Mr. Wonderful. And he was, you know, joking back with me. And I was like, if I don't show up as myself, then it's not going to work, because that's why it works, you know? So that was really the biggest key, is just showing up, being confident, being in my own skin and feeling good about who I am. And then I hoped that that would translate, you know, to the Sharks. And thankfully it did. So it worked out.
Yeah. I agree. I think being yourself is obviously a very important part of your business.
For sure.
I know you mentioned you got into big box retailers like Target and Walmart. What steps did you and like your leadership team take to get there?
Yeah, I mean, it really was kind of a serendipitous moment. You know, when we launched in 2021, what we did is we had like a in-person delivery system to all of our New York City orders, which were primarily at that time friends or friends of friends. And we would go to their house, we would dance and have music and deliver the product to them and woo, woo, woo. And it became like a little social media moment, and people would share it, you know, on their socials. And one of the people that shared it, they had a friend who saw their story, and they were a buyer at Macy's. That buyer at Macy's wanted us to be a part of their new gifting expansion in 35 doors at Macy's. That was a huge deal because we had basically just launched. So it just kind of happened really organically and aligned, you know, but we were ready for it, and we got the units together. It was a few thousand units. We shipped everything from China into my brother's studio apartment. I had to repackage everything myself, re-sticker everything myself, ship it all out, and it was a hot mess. I will just say it was very stressful, but we figured it out. And essentially, that buyer from Macy's used to work with someone at Target who introduced us to them. So that relationship then built with Target. Over the following year, we kind of had continuing conversations with Target to kind of learn what we needed to do to get ready to enter into, you know, the mass stage. And it was super helpful because they were great. You know, we learned we needed to get a distributor because we cannot be shipping our own products to hundreds of Target stores around the country, right? We had to shift our price point. So we had to lower to be competitive with what was already on the shelf. We had to shift some of the content in our game so that it would work for their customer. So there were a few things that we had to do. And over that year, we worked on those things. We had to get, you know, certification. There was a few moments that we had to check in and say, great, we got these things checked off. We're ready to go. And when we were ready, they were ready, and the timing really aligned, and it worked out. And then once we're in Target, now Walmart's like, well, hey, wait a second. If you're in Target, maybe you should come here. And so it worked out that about 2 years later, we ended up in Walmart. So it's been super, we honestly, a lot of luck and a lot of being ready when the luck came.
Yeah, I agree. I think that right time is very, very important.
Totally.
So a lot of us here are aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs already. What do you think is that first step that students should take when they don't necessarily know where to start from turning an idea into a real business?
Yeah, well, I always say start small, start now. That's always my advice just to any founder or aspiring founder. Don't get stuck in the perfection of it all, which is something that I did that was messing me up for sure, is to really find one piece of whatever you're trying to do. If you are making, you know, a jewelry line, find one earring, right? You're making that one earring, and you're going to make that until it's beautiful and you love it, and then you're going to have people try it out. Have them wear it with their friends, and then just see how they feel, right? Start getting that feedback. See what they like about it. See what kind of feedback they're getting from their friends. Oh, girl, those earrings are cute. Oh, I want some earrings. Wow, that's great feedback. You take that, you make some more earrings. Just really dive in on what that first thing is. Get that stuff tested. Use your friends, use each other, use your family. And then you just hound that. You just keep going on that one thing and get it good. And then you can go to the next thing. Then you move on and then you do some rings, right? Then you add the rings to it. But start small first so that you can get it down. You want to know who your customer is. You want to know what they're doing, what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Whenever they're using whatever you're making or providing, you need to know their full psyche, everything about them, because if you know them, then you can market to them. If you can market to them, you can make some money. So start small, but start like now, like today. Like go home and start putting it together.
Kind of going off of that, how did you start marketing Hella Awkward and getting that word out initially?
Yeah, social was our first place, organic social. We had $0 for any like ad spend. It was just me and my phone. Hey, it was just that. I would ask people questions on the street. I would, try to go to different events and get people to play. I was just trying to do whatever we could do that was scrappy, that cost no money, just to start building that community, start building an audience. And we did that before we launched. I wish we would have done it even earlier. I think if you already have like tangible ideas of what you're wanting to build, start building the audience now. Because once you have the audience, you have people then you could sell to and market to when you're ready to do that. So that's something I wish we would have done. The other thing was just doing in-person. We did some different fairs and like workshops and things like that where we could have people playing it in person, and then that kind of grew. So we would partner with different companies. We did like a holiday fair for BuzzFeed, and that was great because then we ended up in BuzzFeed for their Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then we sold out 1,000 units. Boom. So the network, right? You just have to keep building that network and keep trying and testing and do whatever you can do to be scrappy, honestly. Like do whatever it takes. Get on TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, I'm sure you all are, but just start with social. That's a great place to kind of get things out there and kind of learning who your people are that want to buy from you. But be scrappy, legit.
How did you start to build that community during COVID too? I'm sure where everyone was very isolated and not really going into as many in-person events.
Yeah, well, during COVID, it was different because we were doing a lot of virtual stuff. Like we would host virtual game nights and we would send out the Zoom link and, that was great for a while. I think people kind of got fatigued after a while, and then it was like, okay, I can host people. Let me host my friends, and we can do game nights. My brother would host people at his place. We would do game nights, and then we could kind of grow that. Okay, let's meet up at this restaurant. Hey, restaurant, can we do a little game night? Yeah, we need events. Great, bring people. So then we just kind of grew that, built that. Now we integrate with other, event organizers, and we can say, hey, you, and you guys already do these really cool events. I'm going to pitch you to have my games there as the conversation starter, as the icebreaker, the relationship builder, and no one will ever say no, honestly. Like they like having experiences integrated. So if you have something where you can think of a way to integrate into other organizations, events and series and things of that nature, just, hey, I want to showcase my beverages, you need beverages at events. Can I showcase those things? Just think of that's why you need to know your customer, because wherever they go, you need to be there. And so you just, hey, let me put my beverages at your event. Great. People love that kind of stuff. Just reach out, make a short list, reach out to some folks, send them DMs on Instagram. Like the amount of people who DM me about stuff, great. Here's my email. Let's make it happen. Done. Like it's so easy. You guys live in a place where you have so many events and things going on. It would be a great place to be testing out any of those early products. Like this is where you should be doing it for sure.
Yeah. What's kind of one common mistake you see new founders making over and over again? Maybe it's that they're not reaching out enough or being as bold.
Yeah, probably just having, you have this big plan, you have this grand idea, and it's great, it's amazing, but you have to niche it down when you're getting started. Like I was saying, start small. Don't let the big thing overwhelm you and allow you to be stuck in your thoughts, because we all do that, I'm sure. There's been many a times where I'm like, oh, but I want to do this and that and this. And then I don't do anything because I'm trapped in my mind thinking of all the ways I'm not doing all the things. So try to pare it down into something that's really actionable that you can do like right now. Okay, I can make a list of 10 organizations at Michigan State's campus who are doing things that I can actually partner with. Great, let me make that list. That's an easy step that you can like legit do tomorrow. So it's finding the ways that you can make action items for yourself that are small, and then it just makes you feel good because you're like, I actually did something like really useful for my company. And then that makes you want to keep going because now you're seeing progress. Now you're saying, wow, I have an event in 2 weeks that I'm going to showcase my beverage brand. That's amazing. That's tangible. That's actual like return on what the work you're doing. So just start small. Do those little small things that you can do to make impact that really, really, really works.
Yeah. Kind of looking ahead, what are you most excited about for your next chapter?
Ooh, so many things. I would say, building out more products. We have a few things that are coming out this year that we're excited about. We're also thinking of a mobile integration that we built last year and just kind of developing that. We partnered with a company called Brittane, which is a mobile gaming app that is owned by the actor Jesse Williams. And so we're building out media and a media extension around podcasting and short form video for that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about our Shark Tank re-airs coming up. That's going to be fun. And then just more in-person events. That's like a big thing that has really worked for us last year. And so I really want to dive into that even deeper this year. And so building that programming is going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay. You kind of talked about like the digitization, but do you see how awkward going digital or?
We're testing it now,
Yeah.
with the integration into Celebrity, which is the mobile gaming app. So we're testing that out to see how that will work, how that will look, and then potentially building out like a larger app, around that. So we'll see. I think ultimately I really like in-person moments. I think it's cool to like meet people and share space and be able to share our stories with each other, eye to eye, looking at each other. That's how you really connect, is being in person. And I kind of like the whole thought of like putting the phone away and just kind of sharing stories with each other. So that's not like my ultimate goal is to have a bunch of mobile games, but I think it'll be cool to test out this partnership and see what that could look like.
Yeah, I agree. What's something about your journey that people don't normally see?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's tiring. There's so many times where I'm just like questioning what I'm doing. Is this the right choice? Am I investing my time properly? Am I investing our money properly into the right things? It can be hard. Like my co-founders, they have full-time jobs. And so this is more of a part-time company for them, but I work on the company full-time. So sometimes it's just me, computer, for hours, just trying to figure things out and make sure I'm doing what's right. And there's a lot of pressure with that of like, okay, I don't want to, let my co-founders down and do the wrong thing. This is also my income, so I got to pay my bills. I want to make sure I have money for myself to live, so there can be a lot of pressure when it comes to building something, but you just have to like trust the process and believe and like see that light at the end of the tunnel and just know like it all comes down to you at the end of the day. Like you are the person that's going to make it work. You're going to do what it takes. And if you trust yourself to do it, then just get it done. Like there's just no excuses. Like just get it done. You need a day off, take a day. You need to rest, go and rest. You need to see your friends, go see your friends. That will reinvigorate you. That will inspire you. But at the end of the day, it's on you. So do it.
Yeah, I think consistency is very, very important as an entrepreneur as well. And going off of that, entrepreneurship is often pretty glamorized. Mm-hmm. Do you have any, I'm sure you have a lot of failures and setbacks, but is there one specifically that kind of shaped how you lead today?
I don't know if there's just one. I think there's just a collection of small things. There's so many small things. Of course, there's the glamorous big moments. Like, yes, I've had those, and it's amazing to have those. But I've also had the quieter moments of just like, dang, I spent thousands of dollars on this, Instagram marketing, and there's no return there. Like, was that such a waste? Like, you're trying to rationalize things like that. Or, dang, this customer, they never got their package and they're emailing me and they're pissed. And I don't want anyone to be pissed when they're thinking about my company, right? I want everyone to have a good interaction. And then that, I think about that, and that weighs on me of like how they're feeling about how they interacted with us, because it's on me at the end of the day. So there's just a collection of things like that. Or, there's been a time where I almost missed an email and someone was pissed because I missed some email of a potential collaboration. And then, I just missed it. You get 1,000 emails every single day. Sometimes you just miss something. And I'm like, dang it, like that's not the kind of reflection I want on my company to have, like that experience, right? So there's things like that. So there's just small things, and you feel it, and it doesn't feel great, but you keep going. You fix it. You keep driving forward every single day. And, that's just it. It's just a constant grind, a constant drive forward. And if it's passionate for you, if this is something that you're sitting with and wanting, you're thinking about this idea, it's been percolating in your mind, then you just have to do it. You have to try it. And if you don't try it, it's going to be a regret for your life, right? Like, you're going to be thinking about it when you guys are 50 and like, dang, I should have just tried that thing out when I was at college. Like, who would it have hurt? No one. Just try it. Just see what happens, right? Just go for it.
Lastly, just to wrap it up, but what motivates you to keep going?
Yeah.
Pretty big question, but
I love it. I think it's, for me, how I want my life to feel and how I want to impact other people. That's the biggest thing. I love making sure there is space for people to connect with one another. Like, when we can actually look at other people and just tell our simple life stories and experiences, we get closer, right? Like, we become a closer people. We learn that we have so much more in common. And it's such a simple thing just to be like, hey, you wear glasses? I wear contacts. That's crazy. I'm blind. Like, simple thing, but boom, you have a smile from a person. They feel seen. They feel a little bit of, heard, and that matters. So I think that is so important. And if I can contribute to that in any way, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. So find your thing that makes you feel like passionate and excited for life, and just stick with that as your absolute North Star.
Yeah, very motivational. That wraps up for me, but
I love it.
Wanna?
I do.
Yeah.
So we have an expansion pack of my game, Hella Awkward, that has some fun questions. And I was told that a lot of you don't actually know each other, so which is kind of crazy. So I thought we could ask a few questions, or maybe one. We'll see how much time it takes. But I would love for you guys to like talk to each other, turn to your neighbor. This is something I learned growing up in the Black church, is you say, neighbor, hey, neighbor, and you greet each other and you look at each other in the eye and you shake hands or give a hug. But I want you to answer a question from Hella Awkward. All right, this is the real talk category. Real talk. If you suddenly found out you had a month to live, how would you spend your final days? You have 1 month left to live. How are you spending your final days? All right, so take a moment, look at your neighbor and answer.
I'd be eating for sure.
Just every day eating.
Food, yes.
That's a great answer. Like, you can go like around the world.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow Thai, the next day. Like,
You name it. Eating, traveling.
yeah, that's what I'd be doing.
When you guys do like the in-person events too, like you mentioned at restaurants, How does that work with like, do you guys like pass the cards around or like have a deck?
It depends. If it's like a smaller group, then we'll have like a card at each table or at each person's like setting. And then they use that card and they're like, you have to go up to someone and ask the people around you. Or we'll have the cards like spread out on the tables. And then we just kind of like, people can kind of like grab it, pass it around, go, whatever. Or we've done more like around like hosting it. And it's more like me on the mic, asking people, going around.
Oh, even better.
You know that. So there's a few different formats it takes. It's fun. All right, has everyone answered? Has everyone answered? Yes? Does anyone want to stand up and share what their neighbor's answer was? Somebody does. Okay.
All right. We were in agreement that we're going to travel. Both family people, so we can see our family, but she wants to go somewhere tropical. I can go somewhere tropical. Europe. Use every second of that time to live it up. But we agreed also that maybe we shouldn't wait till the end to go do these things, so travel now.
I love that answer. Who else said travel? Anybody else? A few folks. We were also saying some travel up here. Did anyone not say travel? Any other thoughts? Any non-travelers? Some people don't like to travel.
It's true.
Yes. Skydive. Nice. Adrenaline. That's fun. You might not make it to the whole month. That's fun. All right. Well, thanks for playing, everyone. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Pass it back to you.
Of course. Now we'd like to open it up to Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to go ahead.
Hi. I really love your story. I'm also a theater actor.
Yes.
Acting, so
Love it.
inspirational for me. And you talked about navigating these feelings of burnout, and I know as students, a lot of us can relate to that. And even as like young professionals going into the professional world, even in the acting world, you're always auditioning, and there's always like, this push to put in like FaceTime at the office, and to always grind. How did you navigate that and work through that? And are there any like habits or coping mechanisms that you use to do that in a part of your life?
Yes, the burnout is so real. I was really feeling it in 2019, and it was like, I was like depressed, just feeling like, how am I gonna build my career in theater? It is a lot. Like the constant auditioning, constant rejection. It's just always feeling like, when is gonna be the next step in the career, right? Like that was the thing that was just like really eating me up. I think taking the break, it was a forced break, but that really helped, of having that break in COVID where I was like, I'm not gonna do anything else in theater. Like there were still some things going on with like self-tapes at home. And I was like, I really just need a break from all of it. That was a big moment because I got to sit with myself and just like say, what do I want my actual life to be? What do I want it to look like? Sure, do I want to end up on a Broadway stage someday? Yes, but I don't need it tomorrow. I can actually do that and be 50 and be 60 and still feel happy that I actually accomplished that thing. So it gave me a moment to kind of think of time differently when COVID happened, because I used to be so like, it has to happen now, it has to happen like this. If it doesn't happen like this, and I failed and everything sucks and the life is over. And I was like, oh wait, in COVID, there is no time. It's just whatever you want it to be. And that to me was like an eye-opening moment to be like, okay, if I come back to theater someday, it's gonna be on my everything. I'm gonna be more stable financially, which now I am because of my company. I'm gonna have more joy in it because it's only gonna happen when I want it to happen, with projects that I wanna actually do. It's not gonna be a desperate, if I'm not doing a show, then I'm not an actor. What am I? It's gonna be on my terms, right? Those were big things. And then I just want to have more balance of my life to do other things that I like. I discovered I like running. I discovered I really love to travel. So I went to Hawaii and spent a month in Hawaii and chilled because I have a friend that lived there. So it was just giving my time more availability to just be explored, and then giving myself more space to kind of figure out what it was that I was really wanting out of my life that gave me real joy. And then I would say now, the tangible things that I would do is more time blocking. That has helped me just really stay more organized. So usually at the end of my workday, I have like a final to-do list where, I scratch off the things I got done. And then if there's something I didn't get done, I add that to the next to-do list. That just helps me take it out of my brain, because if I don't do that, all night long, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do this. Oh my God, I didn't do that. And it just feels stressful. That adds to the burnout. But if I take that time at the end of the day and I'm like, okay, work on that tomorrow, figure this out, do this, work on that. Great. Now it's gone. I have dumped it, and it's tomorrow's problem. That's been a good practice to just get it out. And so at the end of the day, I can pour a glass of wine and relax and chill and do whatever I want to do to have my little moment of wellness and me time, right? So I would say the time blocking, and then giving yourself whatever break you need, like a real break of just kind of sitting with yourself and figuring out, what do you want your life to actually be? What gives you real, real joy? Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here and speaking. My question would just be for, you got into such big negotiations so early on, which is a blessing, but how did those go, talking with foreign distributors or talking to a billionaire one day? And what tips would you give us for just being ready in that moment so you can handle it right?
Thank you so much. Really, it's just to be yourself, honestly. I know that's so annoying to hear, but truly, like, the feedback I have always gotten throughout this whole business journey is people just like me because I'm just smiling, I'm just laughing, I'm just chilling, I'm passionate. People like me because I'm me. Show up as who you are and know that you're worthwhile. You deserve to be in these spaces, in these rooms. If I'm talking to Mr. Wonderful one day, yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's Mr. Wonderful. I watched Shark Tank for years. That's so cool. But guess what? I'm Brittany. I'm showing up as me, and I'm gonna make my little joke, and oh, what? And we kiki and have a little funny moment, and it's fine, right? Because I'm showing up as myself. That's the end all be all. Obviously, do your work, do your research, know what you're doing. Don't show up being ridiculous and unprepared. Like, know what you're doing, obviously. Know your numbers, do all the research you can do, have your decks clean, like all of that's important. Have that ready. But show up as yourself, whatever that looks like. Be you. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. People say no, that's fine. All right, cool. Maybe this isn't the right thing, or maybe it's just not the right time. Great, we move on.
My name is Paul Mayfield. I wanted to ask, how did you get out of the comparison or competition mindset, or the crash and the barrel mindset, where you're in a business with so many other people doing the same thing as you? You decided that you were divine and that this was meant for you. You put your dream forward. How did you do that?
I love that. What a beautiful question. I think that's a constant practice, at least for me. Like, you're always going to have other folks who are building something that you're like, ooh, dang, that's really cool. But if you look at it as a way of inspiration versus competition, then you learn from them. There's so many people that you can learn from. So take what they're doing and just learn. Be inspired by it. Be in awe of it. Be excited about it. There's so much money. There's so much room. There's so much space for literally all of us, So remind yourself of that. Like, just because they have doesn't mean I do not have, because that's just a scarcity mindset, and you have to get out of that 100%. Like, you can't live in scarcity. You can't live in that. So always be, ooh, oh, okay, let me learn. Let me watch them. What they're doing is cool. What they're doing is exciting, right? And then the other thing is always trying to give back. That's something that I've always been like super, super excited about, because a lot of people have given to me. And when they give to me, I'm like, okay, I have to share this information I just learned with them. So I take it, and then I'm like, here you go. You can take this too, because I just learned this cool thing, and you should also know it. And that creates a cycle and an environment of like people who always want to pour into you. Like, people always are looking out for me, texting me amazing things, opportunities, grants, whatever, because I'm also trying to take it and give it to other folks. And that just immediately changes your mindset of scarcity if you're like always trying to think of other people that you can use the information you have. Because you're not like in competition with them, you're helping them, they're helping you. It's a good environment to be in. So I think that's probably the first step. Whatever you know, give it to somebody else to use. And then know that, like you said, you're divine. Remind yourself there's enough for everybody to eat. And we all about to eat some filet mignon and just enjoy life.
I guess what's it like initiating like the initial manufacturing process of like putting your products out? How'd you go about that?
Yeah, that was crazy. Okay, the first step was me on Alibaba trying to like look up a billion different folks in China and basically coming up with just like a very, very rough sketch of what the game was going to look like and saying, hey, can you make this? I reached out to a bunch of people who just worked in paper in some capacity, understood through a lot of questioning and back and forth of like, what are their capabilities? Have they done anything like this before? You know, what is this going to obviously cost? And can they scale if we scale? Those were some of the big questions that I had. Eventually, what I ended up doing is reaching out to other card game companies and asking like, hey, are you willing to offer any advice around this? You know, or giving who you work with. And a lot of people actually were. They were willing to do that. So we ended up working with the people that some of our competitors work with because they do things really well, right? Like they're already doing it and they're already doing it at scale. So that was really helpful. But having some sort of like sketch or CAD or design or something already in hand is very helpful so that when you're going to these places, these different factories, you have like an idea of what you're trying to make. Definitely ask the people that already are doing what you want to do is probably very useful because they're likely experts in it. You want someone who is an expert because they can help you develop your product even better. Usually there's been things or components of our games that we were like not quite sure about. And we were able to go to our factories and say, hey, what experience do you have in that? And they can add feedback to it. And that's been really helpful. Also, a factory that kind of believes in your vision is useful because our first like major partnership in our factory, this was like right before we got into Target. They were willing to help us finance with some of the first order, which was major because we're still fully, you know, financing this ourselves. Like, you know, we have grants and we've had some loans and things like that, but it's on us. So that was super helpful. They believed in us and they were like, okay, we can have, you know, bigger financing terms, you know, longer financing terms. So that was great. So someone who believes in you, someone who's an expert who can offer you great feedback, someone who has great communication, and ask people who are already in the industry and just see what they're willing to say. If they're not willing to give you their factory, maybe they're willing to give you good questions to ask or, you know, a direction of where to look to have like the right person, the right partner.
I know we got to talk a little bit earlier. You don't come from a business background, and I know a lot of students in this room also are not business majors. When you found yourself not knowing what to do, what did you do from there? Did you hire people? Did you try figuring it out on your own? What were kind of those skills that you figured out for yourself?
Well, that happens all the time. Like, there's plenty of things I don't know how to do. Yes, hire a contractor. Ask around for people, you know, that they can recommend that can be useful. Anything I don't know how to do or don't like doing, I try to outsource help for that. I would also say being a part of different organizations and groups just was super educational for me. Like I just did a program at Dartmouth. Like I said, I was a part of a Shopify program, a TikTok program, a McKinsey program. Like all of these programs come with people who are experts at what they do. You know, I've got the expert at consulting at McKinsey that I can tap into to say, hey, I need data around X, Y, and Z while I'm trying to think about entering into Walmart. You know, I have people that can help me with that. And that's because I'm a part of these sorts of organizations that provide tools and education and people that I get to tap into, right? So that's a huge part. Also, just acknowledging that you don't know something, right? Like sometimes we're like, oh, I can figure that out. You could, but you might waste a whole lot of time trying to figure it out when you could just like ask someone who knows how to do it, or hire someone cheaply, or trade. You know, there's been a lot of times where I've worked with other businesses who they're doing something really well, but I don't know how to do it yet. So we trade services or, you know, trade things like that. And you got the folks to trade. So trade here. I hope you guys make some friends tonight, like legit. I hope you like, you know, increase your network this evening. So yeah, those are like the biggest things I would do. Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's about time for tonight, but thank you so much. We learned so much from you.
Thank you.
Great questions, everybody. Do you have a couple minutes to stick around and talk to a few people? If you want to come up and have an individual conversation, come on up with Brittany. And thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. Grab more sandwiches on the way out.